Hello viewers, the topic today in neoplasia is characteristics of benign and malignant neoplasms. It is very important to differentiate between benign and malignant tumors, and these can be differentiated on the basis of various cytologic, histologic and anatomic features. In general, the benign tumors are well differentiated. So what is differentiation? So differentiation is the extent to which the neoplastic parenchymal cells resemble the corresponding normal cells both functionally and morphologically. And the malignant tumors can vary from well differentiated to poorly differentiated anaplastic tumors. Now let us take example of benign tumor lipoma, which is a proliferation of benign adipocytes, and these adipocytes, they closely resemble the normal adipocytes, and these cannot be differentiated on the basis of microscopic examination. Only the growth of these adipocytes into discrete masses reveals the neoplastic nature of the lipoma. Now the well differentiated malignant tumors also closely resemble the normal parenchymal cells. For example, the well differentiated squamous cell carcinoma. The neoplastic cells of well differentiated squamous cell carcinoma closely resemble the normal squamous epithelial cells, and they also produce keratin, so the functional property is also retained. Similarly, well differentiated hepatocellular carcinoma elaborate bile. So morphologically as well as functionally they resemble the normal hepatocytes, but the malignant nature is revealed by the properties of invasion and metastasis. And on the other extreme lie highly anaplastic tumors, in which there is lack of differentiation, and in between these two extremes are the moderately differentiated malignant tumors. And what are the other cytologic features that are seen in cancer cells? Pleomorphism. Pleomorphism is variation in cell size and shape. It means that the cells within the same tumor are not uniform in appearance. They may vary from small undifferentiated cells to large cells, large tumor giant cells. And these tumor giant cells may have a single large polymorphous nucleus, or the tumor giant cells may have multiple hyperchromatic nuclei. Next is abnormal nuclear morphology. In normal cells, the nuclear cytoplasmic ratio is 1:4 to 1:6. This is the range of normal nuclear to cytoplasm ratio. But in cancer cells, usually the high NC ratio is seen, and sometimes it may approach 1:1. The size of nucleus is almost equal to the amount of cytoplasm. The nucleus may have variable shape. The nuclear shape is variable. The nuclear membrane is irregular, and the chromatin is coarsely clumped along the nuclear membrane, and the chromatin is darkly stained as compared to the normal cells. It is hyperchromatic, and the cells may have abnormal large nucleoli. So here you can see these cells, they have high NC ratio, and the nuclear chromatin is clumped and it is present along the nuclear membrane. Mitosis. The mitosis usually doesn't indicate malignancy, but the atypical bizarre mitotic figures, these tripolar garland shaped, these mitotic figures, they indicate malignancy. And the highly anaplastic or the undifferentiated tumors usually have high mitotic count. Mitosis simply indicate that the cell turnover is high, and normally it is seen in the epithelium, the intestinal epithelium, where the cell turnover is high or the proliferation rate is more. So in undifferentiated or anaplastic tumors, there is high mitotic count. Loss of polarity. The orientation of the cells with respect to each other and with respect to the supporting structures like basement membrane is completely lost. There is disorganized growth. the cells are growing in masses in haphazard fashion. Ischemic necrosis. Now the tumors which are rapidly growing, they sometimes outgrow their vascular supply, or the vascular stroma is not sufficient to support the tumor parenchymal cells. So in this case, the tumors undergoes ischemic necrosis. Now let us see with the help of microphotographs these important features. This is a microphotograph showing leiomyoma of uterus. Leiomyoma of uterus is a benign, well-differentiated tumor. It contains interlacing bundles of neoplastic smooth muscle cells. These are interlacing bundles, and these are identical in appearance to normal smooth muscle cells in the myometrium. So this is well-differentiated tumor. So this microphotograph shows well-differentiated squamous cell carcinoma of skin. The tumor cells, these are the tumor cells. These are similar in appearance to the normal squamous epithelial cells. These have intercellular bridges and nests of keratin pearls. So this is well-differentiated tumor. Pleomorphic tumor of skeletal muscle, rhabdomyosarcoma. Here we can see marked variation in the size and shape of cells as well as the nucleus. There is cellular and nuclear pleomorphism. The nucleus is hyperchromatic and there are tumor giant cells. Here you can see these are the tumor giant cells. So here there is single nucleus and this giant cell has multiple hyperchromatic nuclei. Anaplastic tumor showing cellular and nuclear variation in size and shape. Here we can see the cellular and nuclear variation in the size and shape. And in the center, this is a mitotic figure. It has abnormal tripolar spindle. Next is metaplasia. Metaplasia is a reversible change in which one differentiated cell type is replaced by another cell type. And metaplasia occurs in response to chronic stress or due to changed environment. And this another cell type is better suited to withstand the chronic stress or the changed environment. It is better able to survive in that environment. The most common epithelial metaplasia is columnar to squamous metaplasia of bronchial epithelium, which is seen in chronic smokers. Here the ciliated columnar epithelium is replaced by stratified squamous epithelium, which is more robust. Another is Barrett's esophagus, where squamous to columnar metaplasia occurs. The squamous epithelium of the esophagus is replaced by columnar epithelium. It can be gastric type or the intestinal type epithelium, which is better able to withstand the stress in the form of gastroesophageal reflux, better able to withstand the acidic environment. The metaplastic epithelium is prone to malignant transformation. If the stress or the changed environment continues, then the metaplastic epithelium can undergo neoplastic transformation. Next term is dysplasia. Dysplasia means disordered growth. It is principally encountered in the epithelial cells. And how can we identify that it is dysplasia? We can identify it by various morphological changes in the cells. The cells, dysplastic cells, exhibit pleomorphism. They have high NC ratio, they have hyperchromatic nuclei, and the epithelium shows architectural disarray, and there is loss of orderly differentiation. Now what happens in dysplastic epithelium? Normally the tall cells in the basal layer, they mature and at the surface there are flattened squames. But in dysplastic epithelium, the dysplastic epithelium shows mainly the tall cells, basal-like cells. There is disarray and loss of maturation. The epithelium also shows abundant mitotic figures. Normally, the mitotic figures are confined to the basal layer, but in dysplastic epithelium, the mitotic figures are abundant and they are seen throughout the thickness of the epithelium. Now, this change, the loss of orderly maturation, it can fully involve the thickness of the epithelium or it can partly involve, and depending on that dysplasia can be mild, moderate or severe. Severe is when the full thickness of the epithelium is involved. Here we can see the basal cells which are tall, and here this at the surface these are flattened. This part is normal, and here this is dysplastic. So this is showing the architectural disarray. These cells, they are not orderly organized, they are growing in a haphazard fashion, and these are all basal like cells. And dysplasia is a pre-malignant lesion, but it is reversible, it can be reversed. Next is the carcinoma in situ. Carcinoma in situ is severe dysplasia in which the full thickness is involved, but the lesion does not penetrate the basement membrane. It remains confined to the basement membrane, but there is high probability of progression to invasive cancers. Carcinoma in situ can be seen in skin, breast, bladder, uterine cervix. The dysplasia carcinoma in situ can progress to invasive carcinoma over time. This reflects the time that is required for accumulation of mutations for full-blown cancers to appear. Cancers, they appear when there is accumulation of mutations, full-blown cancers. So when there is accumulation, so this reflects the time required for accumulation of mutations for an invasive phenotype to appear. Next is local invasion. The growth of malignant tumor is accompanied by progressive invasion, destruction of the surrounding tissues, and eventually systemic spread occurs. Whereas benign tumors grow as cohesive expansile masses which are localized to site of origin, and they do not invade or metastasize. The benign tumors usually grow and expand slowly. So they develop a capsule which separates the tumor from the surrounding normal tissue, and this capsule is a rim of compressed fibrous tissue, and this capsule creates a tissue plane or a plane of cleavage, and this encapsulation makes the tumor discrete, readily palpable, movable or non-fixed, and the tumor can be easily excised by surgical excision. Whereas the malignant tumors are poorly demarcated from the surrounding structures and they lack a well-defined cleavage plane, and due to invasiveness the excision of the malignant tumors is very difficult or it is impossible. And invasion is a reliable discriminating factor between malignant tumors and benign tumors. Next is metastasis. Metastasis is spread of tumor to sites that are physically discontinuous with the primary tumor, and the event of metastasis unequivocally marks the tumor as malignant because benign tumors do not metastasize. The likelihood of metastasis correlates with other features of malignancy, which are lack of differentiation, rapid growth, large size, aggressive local invasion. But there are also exceptions. Sometimes well differentiated tumors which are small in size, which are slow growing, metastasize widely, whereas tumors which have rapid growth, a large size, sometimes remain localized for years. They do not metastasize. So metastasis is a complex and unpredictable process, but it definitely reduces the chances of cure. Now, what are the pathways of spread? Dissemination of malignant tumors can occur through three pathways. First is seeding of body cavities and surfaces. Second is lymphatic spread, and third is hematogenous spread. So seeding of body cavities and surfaces occurs when malignant neoplasm penetrates natural open field that lacks physical barriers, and most commonly the peritoneal cavity is involved. Any body cavity may be involved, like pleural cavity, pericardial cavity, subarachnoid space or joint space, And this type of seeding is characteristic of carcinoma ovary, in which the cancer spreads to the peritoneal surface. Sometimes the mucus secreting appendiceal carcinoma or ovarian carcinoma fill the peritoneal cavity with a gelatinous neoplastic mass. This is called as pseudomyxoma peritonei. Second is lymphatic spread. It is most common pathway for dissemination of carcinomas, but this can also be taken up by sarcomas. And spread follows the natural routes of lymphatic drainage. For example, in carcinoma breast, usually the upper outer quadrant is involved, so the cancer will spread first to the axillary lymph node. It will then involve the infraclavicular lymph node and then the supraclavicular lymph node. Sentinel lymph node is the first lymph node in the regional lymphatic basin that receives lymph flow from the primary tumor. And sentinel lymph node biopsy is performed to assess whether metastatic lesion is present or not. Third is the hematogenous spread. It is typical of sarcomas, but it can also be seen with carcinomas. The histologic evidence of penetration of small vessels at the site of primary tumor is usually associated with hematogenous spread. And the involved vessels are small veins. The arteries, they have thicker walls, so they are resistant to penetration by tumors. And the most common organs involved are liver and lungs, because all the portal area drainage drains to the liver, and all the cable blood, it flows to the lungs. So these are the most commonly involved organs. And the cancers which arise in close proximity to the vertebral column, in these vertebral metastasis is seen. For example, carcinoma thyroid and prostate, they metastasize to the vertebra through paravertebral plexus. And some tumors, they have propensity to grow in large veins. For example, renal cell carcinoma, it invades the branches of renal vein, then it involves the renal vein itself, and then it grows in a snake-like fashion up in the inferior vena cava, and it may also grow up to the right side of the heart. Let us now see some more images relevant to the topic.
Carcinoma in situ. The microphotograph A is low power view. It shows that epithelium is entirely replaced by atypical dysplastic cells. There is no orderly differentiation of squamous cells. Normally, there is progressive maturation of tall cells which are present in the basal layer to flatten squames on the surface. But here we can see that the entire epithelium is replaced by basal-like cells. So it is involving the full thickness, and the basement membrane is intact, and there is no tumor in the subepithelial stroma. The microphotograph B is high power view, and it shows failure of normal differentiation. There is marked nuclear and cellular pleomorphism, and there are numerous mitotic figures, and these are extending towards the surface. Normally the mitotic figures are seen in the basal layer, but here we can see that it is involving the full thickness. At the surface also we can see mitotic figures. Fibroadenoma of breast. A is the gross image. Here we can see this is the tumor. This is encapsulated small tumor, and this is sharply demarcated from the whiter breast tissue. So this is the normal breast tissue. It is appearing white here. This is the tan colored encapsulated small tumor, and it has a capsule. And the microphotograph B is microphotograph, which shows this is the fibrous capsule, and it is separating the tumor from the normal breast tissue. This is the tumor, this is capsule, and this is the normal breast tissue. Invasive ductal carcinoma of breast. Image A is gross image, and this is cut surface. So here we can see the lesion. This is the lesion, this is the tumor, and it is infiltrating the surrounding breast tissue and it is stony hard on palpation. We cannot see the capsule, it is not circumscribed, it is infiltrating the surrounding breast tissue. And this is microphotograph. This is low power microscopic view. This shows the irregular infiltrative borders without a well-defined capsule. So this is infiltrating into the normal surrounding breast tissue. Involvement of omentum by metastatic ovarian carcinoma. So here we can see innumerable nodules. These are all nodules and a glazing. This is evident, and this is due to seeding of carcinoma cells on the peritoneal surface. So these nodules, these are all metastatic nodules. Axillary lymph node with metastatic breast carcinoma. So this is the normal lymph node here, and what are these? These are all aggregates of tumor cells. These lighter appearing, these are all aggregates of tumor cells within the substance of the node. And here we can see a dilated lymphatic channel. This is dilated lymphatic channel, and inside the channel these are the aggregates of tumor cells. Cancer metastasis. So this is cut surface of liver, and it is studded with numerous nodules of variable sizes. So here these are the nodules, and these are all metastatic nodules. The cut surface is studded with nodules of variable sizes, which are metastatic nodules. Microscopic view of lung metastasis. So this microphotograph shows a colonic adenocarcinoma which has formed a nodule, metastatic nodule in the lung. This is the nodule. These are the tumor cells which are appearing in sheets, cords, and this is the normal lung tissue here. So this is a metastatic nodule in lung.
So in this video we studied the morphology and behavior of neoplasms. I hope you liked the video. For more such videos, please subscribe my channel and do not forget to like and share my videos. Thanks for watching.